Today I'm going to be sharing some books that I picked up in the last couple of months. Most of them are used books that I've either gotten on Pango online or I've gotten in person at my library bookstore or my local used bookstore. And then I have a smaller stack of some new books that either I couldn't find them on the used bookstores online cheap enough or in person. So I ended up just buying them mostly on, I want to say, Blackwell's and Book Outlet. So I don't think I even paid full price for my new books. I have some really cool ones, quite a variety. So I'm really eager to share. The first one is Early Warning by Jane Smiley. I'm really interested in Jane Smiley. I know she does literary fiction that a lot of people really love. This is actually the second book in a series that she's written, and I just couldn't pass it up because it's a signed first edition. And this series is very intriguing to me. I really want to get into Jane Smiley, and I just couldn't pass up a signed first edition, especially when I think this book was like $3 plus shipping. So it was cheaper than if I would have bought a new copy of it. So I am on the lookout to buy the first and the third. I think the first one is called Some Luck, and I think I have it in my Pango cart. I'm just waiting to kind of pull the trigger. So I'm really excited to have this copy. The next book I picked up was another autographed copy. Pango was just working out for me. And this is Zadie Smith's On Beauty. It's a really cool copy. I really like the cream cover. Here's the signature. I've been really intrigued by Zadie Smith as well, especially when I saw the New York Times 100 Best Books of the 21st Century. I believe On Beauty was one of her novels that was on there. And I also saw Ann Patchett recommend this on her Parnassus Books book talk that she does like every Friday. She recommends either books that she likes or new releases. This was one of them, and she really liked this one. So I was really excited to pick this one up. Again, this one was probably a few dollars plus shipping, so kind of think it was a steal. Again, it's a used book, so it's not going to be the nicest quality. There is some kind of sticker rub-off or something going on there, but I love that. I love that it looks like it's been on the shelf and that it's been read. Another big copy, I actually got this at my library bookstore, and I came across Women Who Run with the Wolves. This is a very interesting book. It is a lot about the myths and stereotypes of wild women archetype. So I think it's really diving into folklore and myths and different things that have been passed down about the power of women. And it's been one that I've been really interested in. It is very intimidating. It's a very big kind of textbooky type book. So I think I'm going to have to definitely read it in chunks and take like 20 pages or read a chapter at a time and really take it in and read it slowly to really get it. I'm really excited to have picked it up, and it was a hardcover and it was $1 at my bookstore library. So I just could not pass it up. Okay, and then we have some other books. This was another one that I actually saw on the New York Times 100 Books, and it is Behind the Beautiful Forevers by Catherine Boo. So I think this is going to really juxtapose poverty and living in the slums with modern luxury and wealth, and how those two things can exist in such a small space and how it exists in our world today. And I think it's going to follow families and living through that. I don't know a whole ton, but it just sounds so up my alley. I love these sorts of books. I think there's going to be a lot of really deep themes and ideas and things to contemplate long after I finished. So I'm really excited to get gotten this one. I think I just need to find the right time to get a good headspace to read it, because I really do want to soak it in, but I know it's going to be a hard read. And I have, now I may pronounce this author's name horribly, Ta-Nehisi Coates or Ta-Nehisi Coates, Between the World and Me. This was another little library find, and I think this is basically a nonfiction book or ode that the author writes to their son, if I'm not mistaken. I think it deals a lot with racism and segregation and growing up in the world that we do live in. And it seems like a pretty short little book, and I know it's a powerful read. I think this was also on the 100 Books, but I've known about this book for a long time. It's been one that I wanted to get to. So seeing it at the library for $1, I couldn't pass it up. So excited to have this one. I think I'll get to this one this year since it is such a small book, it'll be easy to slot in my TBR anytime the rest of this year. Then I have Ann Patchett's Bel Canto. So I really enjoy Ann Patchett's writing. I really enjoy her as an author. I love hearing about her recommendations and her stories. And I'm kind of on a little bit of an Ann Patchett kick this year. So I decided to pick up Bel Canto because I know this is one of her earlier books. And I think this one kind of really put her on the map as a writer. It's about a lavish birthday party that's happening. And then I think this terrorist group comes in and starts taking hostages. So it sounds drama-filled. And I really love how Ann Patchett really writes her characters. I usually really connect with them. So I'm eager to get to this one as well. And I just love that it just looks like it's been read and loved. And I love that about used books because, I don't know, I just love that aesthetic. Is that bad? I think it just gives me that feeling of somebody really enjoyed it and sat with it, and it's been on someone's shelves, and I'm so excited to add it to mine. This was kind of a random pickup for me. It wasn't kind of on my radar, but I did, last video, I did a video about unhauling a lot of books that I had on my shelves for ages, and I took them to a local used bookstore and sold them, and I basically took the credit, and I think they gave me like $37 in credit for, I don't know, 30, 35 books. I ended up picking up Edith Wharton's Age of Innocence. So I think this is a modern classic, if I'm not mistaken, or it says it's a Penguin classic, but I think it is written, the author lived from 1862 to 1937. So the book came out sometime in that period. I know this is kind of a classic book about the Gilded Age in New York, and I haven't really read that much. And I know some people really, really love this, and I want to read more classic literature. And when I do, I always enjoy it. So this one really intrigued me. I'm really excited to get to this one. It doesn't seem too long. Sometimes the classics are a little beefy, so I'm glad that this one is not too beefy. Continuing on my little used book haul here, I got George Saunders' Lincoln in the Bardo. I know this book had a moment probably almost 5-6 years now, and I've always been really interested in it. It was the Man Booker Prize winner the year it came out, and I am really interested in George Saunders. I know he is a very popular writer right now, and he's kind of one of those writers that I feel like writers love, if that makes sense. Like, you know, like that Chappell Rowan quote, "I'm your artist's favorite artist." I'm your favorite artist's favorite artist. I feel like he's your writer's favorite writer. So I'm really excited to get to this. This is about Lincoln, and I think it follows his son dies, and then I think it's kind of like a historical fiction reimagining of the aftermath of that. I'm really excited about that one. Speaking of George Saunders, I also picked up a little short story collection by him called Liberation Day. I think this is a newer release. I think this came out in like 2019, 2020. And I really need to up my short story collection game. And I think this one sounded really intriguing to me. Like I said, it was George Saunders. And I think George Saunders was, how many times can I say his name? I think he was most well known for his short stories before he started writing long form, if I'm not mistaken. So I definitely wanted to pick up some short stories from him. Then I picked up Tommy Orange's There There. This has been a book that I've been wanting to get to for quite a while. I think this has to do with Native Americans, and it follows a couple different stories and kind of how they all come together to meet at this powwow. And then I think it has a play on this saying "there, there." I don't know too much about it, but that's kind of how I like to go into books. I kind of want to know the basic premise, and if I hear good things about it, I'm all about it. And I haven't read any Tommy Orange, and I think he just had a new release this year, so I want to get into him. I want to read him. Then we have Barbara Kingsolver's Prodigal Summer. How cool is this book? I don't know. I think I just love it because it looks like it's just a beautiful book that's been loved and sitting and aging in the sun, and it's called Prodigal Summer, so it kind of gives me those like lazy summer vibes. I don't know a whole bunch about this. It says it's a hymn to wildness that celebrates the prodigal spirit of human nature and of nature itself. It weaves together 3 stories of human love within a larger tapestry of lives amid the mountains and farms of southern Appalachia. Sounds so interesting, and I love that there is nature kind of intertwined with human nature. So super excited about this one. I would really like to get to this one in September before summer finishes. I feel like this is a great end of the summer book read to get to. Next, we have Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. I have not read any Morrison, and I know that is such a shame. So I saw this, and I know this was one of her most famous works, and so I had to pick it up. So I have my own copy. I know everybody recommends her writing, and I am going to get to her. I am starting. So I have got The Bluest Eye, and I'm very excited to get to this one. And lastly, this is my last book in my used books that I picked up recently. It is Mary Roach's Fuzz. You might have seen me kind of share this one when I was doing my little bookshelf video. I really like Mary Roach. She does weird science nonfiction. I've read a book of hers about space, like questions you wouldn't think to ask about space, like how do astronauts go number 2 in zero gravity situations? Like how do they go to the bathroom? And she also has done a book about human cadavers and how science uses human cadavers in various ways to kind of further science and further different things that we enjoy today that we had no clue. I am so excited to read Fuzz. This one says it is when nature breaks the law. So I think it is basically where, you know, humans are expanding where we live. We're pushing out wildlife, and how when those things get so close and those two things collide, how we deal with it. And the thing that I love about her writing or her novels is you may not know a lot about the subject matter, but then when you read, you're like, oh my God, yeah, I never thought about that. That is really interesting. I would like to know about that. And it just keeps happening throughout the book, and you learn so much that you never thought of. But then once she brings it up, you're like, oh yeah, I am super interested in that. So excited for that one. Let's do our little smaller stack of new books. The first 2 books I have are Percival Everett's Erasure and The Trees. He is really, really popular right now because of his novel, James, which came out this year and is short. I think it's longlisted for the Booker Prize, and I hear so many good things about it, so I definitely am going to get to that. But I've really been eyeing The Erasure and The Trees for a really long time. It says, with your book sales at an all-time low, your family falling apart, and your agent telling you that you're not Black enough, what's an author to do? Thelonious Monk Ellison has the answer. Or does he? ... question mark. I know that Percival Everett is a prolific writer. I think he has a ton of novels out. So I really want to crack him and get into his writing. I heard he's amazing. So Erasure was one of those ones. And then Trees, I think, is about the Deep South. And I think it's about trees and lynching and different things like that. So I know that this is also another one of his really popular ones. I am really excited about these 2. I have to get to these 2 and then get to James because I hear James is amazing as well. Then I picked up Greenwood by Michael Christie. Look how cool this is. And then it has like this sprayed edge that kind of looks like the inside of tree, like wood grain. And it's a paperback. So I think this follows generations of one singular family, kind of like, I think it reconnects them all to nature and trees. I'm not 100% sure, but I saw some people online that read this book and say, yeah, it's a big one and it's a lot to take in, but it is so worth it at the end and so rewarding. And I love family sagas, so I had to pick this one up. I'm really excited to get to it. I haven't read any Michael Christie either. And then we have another Zadie Smith book. I could not pass up picking up another Zadie Smith because I'm really excited about her. And this is White Teeth. Don't know a ton about it. I just know that I think this was also on the New York's 100 list. It's Zadie Smith and it's one of her more popular ones. So picked that one up. I got this little it girl called Blue Sisters by Coco Malors. I read Coco Malors' book Cleopatra and Frankenstein this month, so that'll be in my August wrap up. I will say it wasn't my favorite, but I did like that all the characters were really distinct and very vulnerable and very flawed. So I do like reading stories about them. I think this is getting a lot of good positive reviews as of late. Sounds very complex, sounds very character driven like her last book was, so I'm really excited to dive into this one. Then the last 2 books that I'm going to share is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. I'm sure you've probably heard of this book or seen this book. I actually got this at Costco, RIP Costco Books. I think that they're not going to be selling books after this year, so that's really sad. But I'm glad that I saw that this book was there and I picked it up. I know that it is really popular right now. It's been a part of a few book clubs, so really excited to get to this one. It's a big one, but everybody that I have seen review it says that it goes really quickly. And then lastly, this one was kind of a different pickup for me. It's Fruit of the Dead by Rachel Leon or Lyon. And I just got this because I saw a lot of Lit Talk girlies really enjoying it. I don't think it had the best Goodreads review, but that doesn't mean anything because a lot of my favorite books don't have amazing Goodreads ratings. So I'm okay with that. This was just so highly recommended by a lot of the accounts that I follow. So I saw it for really cheap. And so I picked up my own copy and I am excited to get to this one. I think this one will be one that I'm going to read in the fall. And it is a reimagining of Persephone and Demeter. Excited about that one. And those are all the books that I picked up. I think I picked these books up basically from the last haul that I did in the beginning of summer. Like I said, I'm really enjoying finding used books because I love the character they have, that they've looked a little bit yellowed, a little bit used, but I love that they look like they've been read, and that's kind of what I'm going for right now. So I am going to continue picking up used books, and I hope there are some books on here that kind of interest you. Let me know if you have read any of these books recently. Hoping I can squeeze a lot of them into the rest of this year, and I think I will be. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye!